South Africa and France are going to be battling for rugby supremacy over the next 10 or 20 years, and prove me otherwise. The reason I'm saying this is because these are two nations that I can guarantee you will remain on top of rugby for the years to come. I have very big doubts whether Ireland, England, and New Zealand, I want to say the three other big nations in the top five, I have a doubt whether they're going to be able to keep up with South Africa and France over the course of the next few years and the next few decades. The number one reason is obviously when you look at the culture in both South Africa and France, people are playing rugby. Schools are, quote unquote, forcing their kids to play rugby. Rugby is seen as a brave man's sport and a privilege to play. It's an honorable sport to play. People are encouraged to play rugby. Even if it's a dangerous sport, no one cares. Everyone is proud to play rugby. It runs in the blood. It runs in the, in the family legacy. People want to play for the Springboks. People want to play for Les Bleus. And I don't think that there's as much as this in other nations. Now, I don't want to upset any English, Irish, or New Zealand fans. Please let this be the start of a conversation in the comments. I want to understand one thing. You have to be objective and listen to this, whether you're playing me in the car, whether I'm on the TV somewhere, or you're just watching me on your phone in bed, wherever you may be. Is it fair to say that rugby runs the most in South Africa and France? Those are the two countries where rugby is at its highest. It's never been better. There's never been as many people playing rugby. The under 20 teams are scary, right? The under 20 teams, either South Africa or France, are going to win the current World Cup thing. They're just the best at a youth level. It runs in the blood, it runs in the family, as I've already said this. And most places in England, Ireland, and New Zealand aren't playing. People aren't playing as rugby as much. I heard someone say that in New Zealand you get a lot of migration now from Asian countries, etc., where the parents just don't want their kids to play rugby because it's too dangerous, and so the culture is moving towards other safer sports. The rugby culture in New Zealand is maybe on the decline. Now, I'm not trying to upset anyone. I really want you to tell me what you think if you're from there, but I'm seeing this in real time that by the day, by the year, rugby is declining in New Zealand. Less people are playing it. I remember watching Super Rugby 10 years ago and seeing the crowds. They were a lot bigger than they are today. Now the Crusaders are getting good crowds in. Maybe other teams are too. But I remember seeing the Hurricanes playing and selling out in Wellington. They're no longer selling out. Was the Super Rugby final full? It's a good question. I can't remember. But in South Africa and France, well, actually, especially in France, because South Africa, they really base their rugby on the Springboks. The club rugby is still behind. It's still a step behind. And this is non-debatable. I mean, you look at the Lions, for example, they don't get anyone watching their games at home. The Bulls hardly get anyone watching the games at home, and it's true. I mean, the stadium's big for sure, but there aren't enough people watching the game. Maybe only the Stormers are bringing in big enough crowds to think that club rugby isn't dead in South Africa. The Sharks aren't bringing in many people, and also they're the jokes really of South African rugby. Sorry to say to any Sharks fans, but you guys have such an amazing squad and an amazing team, yet you can't do much with it. I mean, no URCs, nothing. Just a Challenge Cup, right? But some disappointing seasons. Anyway, that's not the point. South African rugby really runs on the Springboks identity. In France, rugby runs with the top 14 and the Pro D2. Pro D2 teams get 15,000 people week after week. There are 30 games a season. There are huge attendances. The top 14 gets insane attendances. If Toulon play at home to La Rochelle or Toulouse, they will move their game to the Marseille Velodrome and get 80,000 people in. It is insane. The amount of fans and the amount of attention and popularity of club rugby in France is great, and that funnels into the French national team, of course, that sells out and that gets a lot of coverage. All right, and given that every youngster is playing rugby in France and South Africa, given that the media is covering rugby and showing rugby in a positive light, given that it's in the newspapers, given that, it's just embedded in the culture, there is no way that France or South Africa will ever sort of lose their rugby culture. It is too strongly embedded within those countries. And I just don't see that in New Zealand anymore. I don't see that in England anymore. I think England has its own problems, sort of politically speaking. And anyway, that's another debate. Every country has its problems, right? But same for Ireland. I think Ireland rugby is slowly moving away from what it used to be. Could I be wrong? Yes. As I said, let's talk about it in the comments. But this video was just to illustrate the fact that if nothing changes in rugby, I believe that only the Springboks and France will remain at the top. And we might, if the World Cup is cleverly made, we might only see South Africa versus France in the final in the next few World Cups. Just a controversial take maybe, guys. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye for now.